Okay, that was fine. Okay, there we go. There's two of me in here, but I don't think that other one is actually there. Oh, I just learned a fun thing. Okay. Let me go back to sharing. Sorry. Ugh, that wasn't fun. Okay, so what we are actually looking over is the theme, or this. Okay. Sorry, was it the tone? That really threw me off. I really hate these autoplay. Really makes me mad. Okay, yes, the tones. So yeah, just think about the different tones, right? Like the My Last Duchess is pretty dark. We're hearing about his form of control, about like this blush in her cheek that she had, stuff like that. And then okay, found this thing I can hide non-video participants. That's what I've wanted forever. And then Dover Beach is just about like this really beautiful setting and like finding this peace and the calm and stuff. I'll finish. All love, let us be true to one another, for the world which seems to lie before us, and like a land of dreams, so various, so beautiful, so new, hath really neither joy nor love nor light, no certitude nor peace nor help for pain. And we are here as on darkling plain, swept with confused alarm of struggle and flight, where ignorant armies clash by night. So Dover Beach is also a place where war is fought, but I think that would have happened perhaps. But yes, so it's like the idea of human misery is sort of like represented by the beach. So in the turbid ebb and flow of human misery, and he's just describing it like a sea, but the tone is very different. It's not really coming in with that like super dark and negative tone. Sorry, my window is, the sun is moving and my cat almost knocked over the thing. Let me get my window fixed. But yeah, definitely different tones there, even though Dover Beach can be still sort of a dark message. So let me know if you have further questions on these two. They're kind of dense poems, as most Victorian reading is, especially the last thing that we're going to talk about, the importance of being earnest. So let's see if I can find it out. All right, well, I'm really hoping that the first part of this class recorded. If it didn't, I apologize. Please come to open office hours to ask questions if you have them. But what I said at the beginning of class is a fair warning. This summary of the importance of being earnest does have the bad language in it. I believe that the F word is one of those bad languages. Sorry, my other cat has come. And just, I watched as many videos on the importance of being earnest as I could find, and this is the only one that summarized it in a way that made sense, because it's a very confusing play, which is very intentional. Oscar Wilde was a really interesting person. I think you get a little bit of background about it, but just be warned. I hope that you're not offended. I apologize if any of the language in the video offends you, but I couldn't find anything better, and it's an entertaining way. It's a very funny play. I'm sure Oscar Wilde would have used profanity if that were really in the English lexicon so much at the time. I mean, Shakespeare used profanity, so.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to The Importance of Being Earnest by Oscar Wilde. This comedy is so English that it had to be written by an Irish author. Today's casts are Mr. John Worthing, 29 years old and a gentleman. That is to say, he doesn't have a job but money and is a justice of peace in his spare time. He's got a friend named Algernon Moncrief, a gentleman as well, a little younger and funnier and more irresponsible than John, but by contrast to him, he's got a family.
Okay. So I want to pause here real fast. So you want to kind of pay attention to stuff about Algernon because he is the stereotypical dandy. That might be a good thing to definitely go and kind of like look for his description in the actual writing. So Oscar Wilde's play, The Importance of Being Earnest, is a harsh critique of Victorian society and encourages citizens to change their ways. So just think about that also while you're watching the video. There is some irony in the name. I think it comes up in the tutorial when it's describing it, but notice that that is Ernest in here with an A is not the way we would spell the name Ernest. And so if you do not know what the word earnest means, please make sure that you look that up. If this video doesn't tell us, I don't remember. Sorry, I did this all the other day. All right, here we go. Continuing.
First and foremost, Lady Bracknell, his aunt, who has been 35 for many years and whose main occupation is the exploration of the marriage market for her daughter, Gwendolen Fairfax. She is pretty, bright, and an idealist, which she has in common with Cecily Cardew, who is John's ward, she being the daughter of his late adoptive father. She is being educated by the governess Miss Prism at John's estate in the country. Miss Prism is being looked after by the local vicar, Canon Chasuble, although not quite insensibly enough, she thinks. Finally, there's Algy's manservant, Lane, and John's butler, Merriman. Wilde calls his play a trivial comedy for serious people. It was first performed in 1895 and was to become the biggest success of his career. The premiere was also, however, the turning point of Wilde's life, since it was closely followed by a process in which he was sentenced to a long prison spell for being homosexual. The time in prison damaged his health gravely, and he died shortly after being released. It is a couple of minutes to 5 in Algy's flat in London, and he goes, "Lane, where are the cucumber sandwiches for my aunt?" Over there, sir." "Thank you." "No, thank you, sir." But instead of his aunt, his friend John arrives, and Algy goes, "Ernest, what are you doing in the city?" "Oh, you know, just here for pleasure as always. Can I have one of those cucumber sandwiches too?" "No, they're for my aunt. And Gwendolen is coming too." "Cool, then I can propose to her." "That's what you call pleasure. I call that business. And as a cousin, I do not give my consent." "What?" "Unless you explain to me who Cecily is, whose name is on the cigarette case you forgot here." "Well, she's my aunt. From little Cecily with her fondest love to dear Uncle Jack." "Okay, Cecily's my ward, and my name is really John." "But your name is Ernest." "No, I just invented a younger brother named Ernest in order to be able to go to the city whenever I like." "What? Then you're a Bunburyist too." "Gesundheit, what? I've got this imaginary friend called Bunbury who comes in handy whenever I need a reason to go to the country. He's always sick in that case." Ding dong. Lady Bracknell cometh alongside her beautiful daughter Gwendolen. And the boys go, "Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Where are my cucumber sandwiches?" And Algernon glances at the empty plate and calls his servant, Lane, who approaches promptly. "Where are the cucumber sandwiches for Lady Bracknell?" To which Lane replies, "I'm very sorry, sir. There were no cucumbers in the market, not even for ready money." "That is shocking. Should I then play you the music selection I've put together for your party next door?" And Lady Bracknell goes, "All right, Gwendolen, you will accompany me." And they lead the way. Jack and Gwendolen have already flirted in the background, and now he goes, "Charming day, Miss Fairfax." "Fuck the weather." What? Yes, I do. I beg you were going to propose to me, weren't you?" "Yes." "Well, then go on." Gwendolen, do you want to marry me?" "Well, yes, darling, Ernest. When I had heard your name, I was done for. I knew we were going to marry. I could never refuse you." And he just goes, "Oh." But Mummy comes back. "Stand up immediately, sir." But
So just a reminder, that guy's name is Jack, but he tells everyone his name is Ernest. So, conflict.
"Going to be married to each other, mother." "I will inform you duly if and when you're engaged, Gwen, and now off to the carriage and wait for me." And she does indeed leave, and Jack gets up to face Lady B. "Right, young man. First you fill in the application form for eligible young man because you're not on my list." So he tells her all she wants to know, and she goes, "And who are your parents?" "Unfortunately, I'm a foundling. I was found in a handbag in the cloakroom at Victoria Station." "My daughter is not going to marry into a cloakroom, Mr. Worthing. Good day." And she exits. And he comes back. So, congratulations in order. Shut up. When Gwendolen comes back and says, Ernest, my mother has told me everything. Your story is so romantic, and then there's your Christian name. We may never get married, but I love you. Can you give me the address of your house in the country? Maybe I need to take extraordinary measures. Yes, the Manor House, Woolton, Hertfordshire. So they say goodbye, but LG loves up his sleeve because he's always wanted to visit his friend in the country, and he never gave his address and says, Lane, tomorrow I'm going Bunbury. In the second act, the action moves to Jack's estate in the country, where the governess, Miss Prism, is occupied with teaching Cecily, who has rather strong opinions on her school subjects. German is stupid! No, German is very serious. Oh, look, there's Canon Chasuble strolling down the garden path. How nice you are here, Vicar. Miss Prism was just complaining about a headache. But I haven't. My goodness, are you not well? Yes, come on, we're going for a walk, which they do. Cecily is being alone and a little bored when the butler comes in and announces Mr. Ernest Worthing. Aha, Jack's younger and very wicked brother. So enter Mr. Ernest Worthing.
So, again, what Jack does when he wants to go to the city is he makes up some sort of story about his crazy brother Ernest in the city who's getting in all kinds of trouble, and so he has to go out there to bail him out. But there's no Ernest, that's just who he pretends to be. And so Algernon is like, hey, like, that sounds like kind of a cool idea. I'm going to do it, but instead, I'm going to go to the country. And that's sort of like what's happening here.
Who looks a bit like Algernon. So, you're wicked Uncle Ernest. Well, not that wicked. What? Did you only pretend to be wicked? Then you're a hypocrite. Well, then maybe I'm wicked after all, and they start to flirt seriously while Miss Prism and the vicar return. None but Jack enters in deep mourning clothes, saying, My brother Ernest is dead. Oh, my condolences. Yes, well, he died in Paris of a severe chill, and Miss Prism, that will teach him. But Cecily joins them. Uncle Jack, why are you wearing these funny clothes? Your brother Ernest is in the house. What? But Algy approaches and Jack goes, You! Yes, I wanted to apologize for my bad behavior in the past and promise to improve, and this time I'll only stay for a week. Fuck off! But Algy proffers his hand, and in front of all the others, Jack has to take and shake his hand. A little later, Cecily and LG are alone, and he kneels down to say, Cecily, do you want to marry me? And she replies, But of course, darling, we've been engaged for such a long time already. What? Well, you see, when I first learned of your name, Ernest, I wrote love letters to me in your name, and I could never have resisted it, even though we broke off the engagement. Well, that is fantastic. Then all I have to do is get baptized, don't I? What? I'll be right back. And he's hardly gone when the butler enters again and announces Miss Gwendolen Fairfax. And Gwendolen enters. Fairfax, good afternoon. Cardew, good afternoon. I think we're going to be great friends, and you are visiting the place? No, I'm Mr. Worthing's ward. I live here. Strange. Ernest didn't mention a ward. No, I'm Mr. John Worthing's ward, his elder brother. Ah, thank goodness. Ernest is my fiancé. What? Ernest is my fiancé. No, Ernest is my fiancé. No, Ernest is, oopsie, my fiancé. And a nice little bitch fight follows, in which they attack each other by means of cake and tea. Then Jack shows up. Gwendolen. Ernest. They kiss. Just a moment. Are you engaged to be married with this young lady? No. This is my Uncle Jack. What? When Algernon enters. Cecily, just a moment. Are you engaged to be married to this not quite so young lady, Ernest? No. This is my cousin Algernon. And the two girls unite and protest, This is shocking, and storm out. In order to calm down, the boys eat a few muffins and then follow the girls into the house's drawing room, where the girls are already waiting for them. Jack goes first by saying, Well, Gwendolen, I'm really sorry for having invented this figure. I did it in order to be able to come through the city and see you. And she goes, Okay. And Algy says, And I played Ernest only in order to be able to get to know you, Cecily. And she says, Okay, but we'll only marry you if you are called Ernest. Not a problem. We'll get rebaptized. You'd really take that upon yourselves? When, with a Wagnerian ringtone, Lady Bracknell descends upon the room. Everybody backs away, and she goes, Gwendolen, we're going home. No, I'm engaged to Mr. Worthing. No cloakrooms. And who is this young lady who so superfluously hangs on Algy's arm? And John replies, This is my ward, Cecily Cardew, who amounts to £130,000. We're engaged to be married too. Yes, yes, I can see that. It might come to pass. And Jake goes, no way. If we must not, they cannot. No matter. Then you wait till you're of age. That's at 35. I don't want to wait. Don't be so fussy then. If you're not fussy, I can show you the handbag. At which point Canon Chasuble enters and asks, what about the baptisms now? Baptism? That's a little early. And Miss Prism enters too. And Lady Bracknell goes, Prism, where is the baby? And the two elderly ladies face each other, and Miss Prism starts shaking and confesses, 28 years ago, I left the baby in a handbag in the cloakroom at Victoria Station. My mistake, sorry. And John becomes very interested in this story, rushes out, fetches a handbag, and goes, was it this handbag, Miss Prism? Yes, indeed. And he rushes at her and embraces her and goes, Mummy, no, I'm not married. It doesn't matter. No, ask Lady Bracknell for your mother. So he turns to Lady Bracknell and says, I hate to ask it, Lady Bracknell, but who am I? You're the son of my late sister and thus Algy's elder brother. Ha! His elder brother! I've always known it. And what is my name? Well, after the father, John Ernest. Yes, there is an Ernest in the house and in the family. I've always known it. So 3 marriages are materializing on the horizon, and all are happy and content, with the possible exception of Lady Bracknell. And this, dear congregation, was The Importance of Being Earnest by Oscar Wilde. Vielen Dank.
Okay. Hopefully you weren't too offended by the couple of F-bombs that were in there. But, like I said, it's confusing, and it sort of like helps explain it. So there are people pretending to be Ernest. Turns out one of them's actually named Ernest. The only reason these girls really like them is because they're pretending their name is Ernest. It's really wild, but again, understanding the meaning of the word earnest makes a big difference and helps. So make sure that you have that, and it will help you answer part B. You really only need to answer in a couple of sentences because it's not asking for like a big long thing. But is it true that it's a critique of Victorian society and encourages people to change their ways? Yes or no? Why not? And that is it. Cool. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off the recording and hope that it recorded the first half.